Hello, my friends. D.L. Anderson here. Welcome back to Transformation by Truth podcast as we share the truth concerning these last days and what you must do to save yourself from the violent times that are just ahead. Today's podcast is a word of truth accounting of the end times. The end is coming. The end is near. Today's podcast is entitled The Torah of Mosheh, the Torah of Yahushua Messiah, Part 7. How the Torah of Yahushua Messiah frees us from the penalties of sin and the pain of death. The podcast objectives are: reveal why the former nation was marred by transgressions, analyze how we master every command within the Torah, analyze the great danger of lust as it pertains to the sin of adultery, and analyze how we are freed from the pain and the penalty of the law. Welcome. Now, before we begin today's lesson, I would like to welcome all my beloved brothers and sisters in Yahushua Messiah who have been scattered to the four corners of the earth, who Yahuwah has joined to this ministry for such a time as this. I would also like to welcome anyone who is engaging our podcasts or videos for the first time. We trust you were led by the set apart spirit in finding us. And if you continue to be led, we hope you stay with us. For these are troubling times, and an evil day is just ahead. To this end, if you are watching this video on YouTube and you have not subscribed to our channel, click the subscribe button below, and you will be alerted whenever we post new videos. Also, if you have any questions at the conclusion of this video, you can ask them using the link in the podcast description below the video player. Last but not least, if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up so YouTube can share it with believers like us. A final recourse for transgression. Shalom, my beloved brothers and sisters, and welcome back to our Word from a Watchman series. In our most recent lesson, in this series, we analyzed how Yahushua Messiah elevated the Torah of Mosheh to a higher spiritual plane. Now, we achieved this goal quite simply by analyzing Yahushua's teaching on adultery, which is found in Matthew 5:27 through 28. And to make it easier for you to follow, I have created a table for your edification. And here is that table. Please feel free to pause the video and take a look. Now, using this table, I will show you how Yahushua Messiah added critical analysis to the critical concepts of the Torah of Mosheh. In doing so, you will see step by step how Yahushua elevates the Torah to a higher spiritual plane. Let's get started. Now, first things first, the Torah of Mosheh prohibits adultery. See Exodus 20:14 and Deuteronomy 5:18. Not only this, but the letter of the law prescribes a death penalty for all who transgress this command. See Leviticus 20:10. Now, despite this fact, adultery ran rampant within the former nation for many reasons. And one of these reasons is because the letter of the law was not being followed. Alas, due to the degenerate priesthood, the pain and the penalties for many transgressions were never enacted. Here lies the problem vis-a-vis when the pain and the penalties for transgressions are not enacted, transgressions will multiply. Here is why. The letter of the law is designed to be a final recourse for transgression, to wit, in those occasions when one refuses to adhere to the spirit of the law. Now, that was the inflection. Here is the problem. Vis-a-vis, the former priesthood was largely ignorant to the spirit of the law. Ergo, when the letter of the law was not enforced, the people were let loose, and the nation perished. Therefore, the nation was in need of a new and improved priesthood that would A, operate within the spirit of the law, and B, enforce the letter of the law upon those who resist the spirit of the law. For being outside of the Torah of freedom, these transgressors are not free from the pain and penalties prescribed by the letter of the law. For look, listen, it has been written, the Torah of Mosheh is not laid down for a righteous being, but for the lawless and unruly. Plainly speaking, the penalties of the Torah are not prescribed for the righteous, for the righteous adhere to the spirit of the law. However, the penalties of the Torah are prescribed for the lawless, unruly, wicked, sinners, wrongdoers, and profane. For these are all transgressors who resist the spirit of the law, because the fear of Elohim is not in them. And because some of the worst transgressors were members of the priesthood, it, like the Torah of Mosheh, needed a spiritual upgrade. The point where we master the command. Now, although many fail to consider it, Yahushua began upgrading the priesthood during his first stint on the earth. To wit, every time he operated in the spirit of the law to shine a light of understanding on the Torah of Mosheh, he upgraded the priesthood by establishing the Torah. In effect, he perfected the Torah, which is why his Torah is the Torah of perfection. Here again, we see this clearly in his explication on adultery. Per the table below, Yahushua understood the spirit of the law and its connection to the divine order of Elohim. Per this order, the nature of a man is to cleave to his wife, so they become one body. See Genesis 2:24. Now, here is where Yahushua displays the wisdom of Elohim like none other before him or after him. To wit, he addresses the why factor of adultery. That is to ask, why do men and women commit adultery? Here again, we find Yahushua adding critical analysis to critical concepts. For the former was not engrafted into the Torah of Mosheh. And yet, critical analysis, i.e., the why factor, is engrafted into the Torah of Yahushua Messiah. Here is why this is so important. By addressing the why factor of the Torah of Mosheh, Yahushua created a straight line between every command within the Torah and the point where righteous men and women master the command. And per the table below, that straight line starts with the Torah of Mosheh and it ends with the Torah of freedom, where we are made free from all the pain, penalties, and death, so that we might have everlasting life by our mastery of the command. Praise Yah. If you don't reign over lust. Now, in the example of adultery, the point where we master the command can be found by observing the table below. That is, by adhering to the Torah of YHSWH Messiah, which commands us men not to look upon a woman to lust for her. Now, the same rule applies to women, but for the sake of this analysis, let's deal with the brothers. Now, first of all, get this, brothers, the command that a man should not look upon a woman and lust for her is not only for married men. Au contraire, mon frère, let me tell you something. This command is for all men, and especially for unmarried men. Here is why. If you lust for any woman, you will open the door for lust to be a factor in your decision-making process as it pertains to the woman you marry. And it will often be the primary factor. Here lies the problem. Vis-a-vis, the divine order of Elohim requires a man to cleave to his wife so they become one body. Along these lines, the body Yahuwah refers to in Genesis 2:24 is the same body we all possess. To wit, a body has a spirit division, a physical division, and a soul, a key matter which brings us to a key revelation. Get this. Every progressive body is governed by the Ruach of men, as we are led by the Ruach of Elohim. Ergo, our spirit division must take precedence over our physics and our soul. Ergo, the primary union in marriage is not in the flesh, i.e., physics. Quite the contrary, the primary union is in Ruach, i.e., spirit. And this, my friends, is why Yahushua commanded us not to look upon any woman to lust for her. For should you marry that woman, your marriage will be established upon a physical union. And trust me, this will make it difficult for you to become one body. For you are not one in Ruach, and thus your souls are not truly united. Not only this, but you still haven't addressed the issue of lust. And trust me, this is a big issue, a very big issue. Now, that said, allow me to be very clear. Being physically attracted to a woman is not the same as lusting after a woman. And if you don't know the difference, ask a question and I will create a podcast to address this matter. For now, you must realize that the biggest threats to guarding yourself from adultery are the Ruach of lust. Therefore, the Torah of YHSWH Messiah teaches us to eliminate the Ruach of lust from our bodies and to reign over them. This is in line with the Tehuda, vis-a-vis the degrees of perfection which are specifically designed to eliminate the 80 degrees of lawlessness. Now, if you recall, lust is one of the 80 degrees of lawlessness, and one we have yet to address, for it is near the top of the mountain of lawlessness. For now, what you need to know about lust is sure, vis-a-vis, if you don't reign over lust, you will, in some way, shape, or form, commit adultery. Whether you are the fool who commits the act or the fool who has adulterous thoughts, you are guilty of this sin. Ergo, if you don't want to go to the judgment being guilty of countless sins of adultery, this one thing is a must. Maintain a healthy level of respect for the opposite gender and do everything within your power to reign over lust. You shall be free indeed. Now, if you fulfill the Torah of YHSWH Messiah and you reign over lust, you will never commit adultery. In effect, you will be free from this sin. And every other sin deriving from the ruach of lust. This is why the Torah of YHSWH Messiah is also the Torah of freedom. For, per the evolution of the Torah, the spirit of the law, which is manifested in the Torah of YHSWH Messiah, frees us from the penalty associated with the letter of the law. You can see this by observing the table below. To wit, the man who is free of lust is freed from the pain and the penalty of adultery. Why? It's because he has eliminated adultery at the source. Here again, this is the purpose of the Torah of YHSWH Messiah. Vis-a-vis, it teaches us how to eliminate sin at the source. And in doing so, we are fulfilling the order of the Torah, to wit, the 5 models of Torah and law you see in the table below. Now, it is important for you to realize that you cannot be freed from the pain and penalties of sins if you are outside of the order of the Torah. And the easiest way to follow this order is by simply following the Torah of YHSWH Messiah. For if we follow his Torah of perfection, we are fulfilling the Torah of Mosheh, the letter of the law, and the spirit of the law, which is why his Torah has the power to make us free. For look, listen, it has been written, if then the Son makes you free, you shall be free indeed. Hallelujah. Now, that said, we have concluded our evaluation of the Torah of Mosheh and the Torah of YHSWH Messiah, using the conceptual, the analytical, the procedural, and the social models. To wit, we covered all our bases. In doing so, I have proven the original premise from the first podcast in this series. To wit, false Hebrews are pushing a false narrative to manufacture controversy within the order of the Torah because they do not have the set apart spirit of Elohim. This is why they are oblivious to the spirit of the law and why they are unwilling to guard the Torah of YHSWH Messiah. For the spirit of the law manifests the Torah of perfection because the set apart spirit, like Elohim, is perfect, and thus his Torah must be perfect. And everyone who follows his Torah will achieve perfection in the set apart spirit, which again is perfect. Here lies the inflection and the heart of this matter. Vis-a-vis, these false Hebrews are anti-Mashiach because they are anti-perfection. And because they are anti-perfection, they are also anti-Elohim and drowning in blasphemy. And as this is one of the most crucial matters we have analyzed in our Watchmen series, we must take a closer look at the Torah of YHSWH Messiah. As always, stay locked in, for we will begin addressing this matter in 2 days. Yahuwah bless you until then. Now, here is the final word. After all this time, you should understand it is Yahuwah's desire that we guard his commands. Brothers and sisters, hear me carefully as I say, Satan is very clever when it comes to distracting men and women from the real issue. This is why he is pushing his synagogue of false Hebrews to focus on matters that are not salvation critical. Listen to me. If you are not guarding the commands in the spirit of obedient faith, you are showing Yahuwah Elohim that you, like Satan, will not submit to his divine order. And there is no path into everlasting life if you fail to submit to his divine order. Heretofore, I recommend commit yourself to following the order of the Torah, and in time you will see the Torah of YHSWH Messiah will free you from every penalty, pain, and death. For if the Son has set you free, you are free indeed. Hallelujah. Now, here is today's assignment. Meditate on today's lesson. And if you have any questions, please submit them using the form at pinnacleofholiness.com. And I will respond to you as soon as I can. Now, here is what's next. We completed today's podcast, The Torah of Mosheh, the Torah of YHSWH Messiah, Part 7. And the next podcast is entitled, How Israel Became a Spiritual Nation. I will post this podcast on Friday, December 12th, 2025. Until then, my friends, continue to be led by the Spirit of Elohim. Continue to watch, continue to pray, continue in fasting, and most of all, continue to be focused, for the end is coming. The end is near.